Our first review is going to be for She-Hulk. She-Hulk is the new Disney Plus Marvel show that is out right now, just wrapped up. What is the next one after the Marvel Disney Plus show after this one? Anybody know what's the next one?
I think the next show, it might be Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion.
It's either Loki or it's either Loki season 2 or it's Secret Invasion.
So they're still shooting Loki season 2. Secret Invasion should be in post, so I believe it's Secret Invasion, then probably Loki, and then who the hell knows after that.
Okay. Yeah. So here we have the Marvel Disney Plus show She-Hulk about Jen Walters, who's played by here Tatiana Maslany, who people might know. She was in Orphan Black. She was in that show. Very, very good. Very good show. People might know her from that. Here she plays Jennifer Walters, who is She-Hulk, 30-something year old attorney, where the show kind of navigates her life as being the superhero She-Hulk, and as well, navigating the dating world as that, and trying to also manage her work life. So you see kind of a lot of those balances kind of come in there. Now, we talked about the first episode, me and Nick, we reviewed that for the show. And I think at the time, Hunter was also on for the review for She-Hulk when we first did it as well, and he had the first 4 episodes. I only had seen the first episode.
Yeah, suck it, Nick.
And Hunter was really positive on it. Seeing the first 4 episodes, he said it was, those kind of were really strong. Me, I thought the first episode, I wasn't really too big of a fan of it. I thought it kind of had some weak spots. But I hadn't seen any episodes prior to like the penultimate episode, so I'd watched all the episodes up to the penultimate with Daredevil and saw that, and then saw this final episode this week. So I would say binging the show, it was a lot better for me, I think, than it would have probably been just watching it week to week. I think binging it was a lot better for me. And I do think that Tatiana Maslany, does a very good job as Jennifer Walters' character. And I think seeing her with the dating stuff was kind of very relatable. And I kind of very much enjoyed some of that stuff. And I think there were some jokes in here that are also very chuckle-worthy. I wouldn't say they were like big laugh-out-loud moments for me, but there was some good, just like, it was, those were chuckle-worthy moments that I found. And of what they were trying to basically do with the show, I think of making this, legal comedy superhero show that they were trying to do. And even the writers of the show said that, we're not really going to do much legal stuff because we don't know how to really write very good legal stuff. So we're not really going to do much of that. They kind of said that, but,
not exactly great to hear when your show is basically meant to be legal comedy, but for my money, when they did go to court or when they did lawyer stuff, it worked more often than it didn't for me.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pass around and see what some people thought of this season 1 of She-Hulk, and you can go into full spoilers. Again, we're doing a spoiler review for the show, so you guys can get as in-depth as you want. I'll start with Ashley. How did you feel about this season of She-Hulk?
Well, I'm a little biased in the sense that She-Hulk is one of my favorite characters and has been for a long, long time. I don't know if you can see behind me, but there's I guess the other side, there's a sideshow collectible She-Hulk statue I have up there, which is like
pretty sick.
A few $100. But so that's kind of like the level I'm at with this character. It was the character I thought we would never see depicted in a film or show. And when we finally got She-Hulk, it's like, I don't care what this show is. It existing means I win. And that's where my expectations were set going in. Now, thankfully, as a longtime reader of the comics, the show did not disappoint. Not only is it a really good adaptation of She-Hulk, but it is the She-Hulk comic through and through. Particularly, I'm going to point to both the John Byrne run and the Dan Slott run, where it has that constant kind of running meta commentary, where it is light, where it is much more focused on the relationship drama and also courtroom hijinks And that's the way I'm going to describe the legal stuff, because honestly, the legal stuff that's in the show, like to the level that they did, it's to the level that it was in the comics. This is superhero law. So there's a certain amount of absurdity that's kind of like built into it, and I think the show handled that really well. And
just portaling in Madison with 2 N's and 1 Y, but it's not where you think. It's one of the is one of the best bits in the show.
I saw this joke on Twitter, and it's a little mean and it's a little true, but it's like you got Warner Brothers sitting there. We don't know how to make Superman relevant to modern audiences. Meanwhile, you got Marvel takes over the internet with a drunken party girl named Madison spelt weird in 1 week, and instantly everyone is endeared to this character.
And also She-Hulk twerking with Megan Thee Stallion. But I guess everyone was mad about that. Or, sorry, certain corners of the internet were mad at that show dunks on repeatedly.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like the kind of faux outrage machine of the internet. And I say faux outrage very intentionally because it is just a handful of YouTube grifters that propagate this stuff, specifically for money. They don't believe anything they're saying.
Oh, of course.
But this show obviously knew in advance that poor cottage industry of YouTube fake outrage grifters was going to try to capitalize on the show, and it was built into the show what useless fuckboys they are. And so as a result, every episode the show was coming out with something that was completely pre-owning those people that were trying to capitalize off of outrage on the show. It was kind of a beautiful thing. It's my only real complaint, if I have one complaint about this show, is it's that in the very last episode, which was just like a chef's kiss of an episode with how far it went with the meta commentary and breaking the fourth wall, all shit that they've done in the comics, especially the John Byrne comics. But it's at such a level, it's at 11 for the finale, and the type of like meta commentary fourth wall breaking for the whole rest of the series is pretty tepid. It never really interrupts the flow of stories. It's just like a quick aside. And they saved it all for the finale. And so that feels a little kind of like totally imbalanced. But other than that, I freaking love this show. More, please.
All right. Hunter?
Yeah, so it's been great because like Ashley and I have like tweeted a little bit back and forth about the show, and as I was watching,
love for She-Hulk.
So one thing that I've talked about with Nick and other people is like there's nothing more terrifying than when they takes a person of color character or female character, because you realize if they fuck it up, they'll go, "We tried," and then you won't see that character again for like a decade minimum. See Supergirl. So I was really just like, please don't fuck this up. Please don't fuck this up. And so I will be the first to admit I was a little bummed it wasn't Stephanie Beatrice from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just because she loves the character so much and she wanted that role. She's been campaigning for that role for a few years. And so when she didn't get it because of some scheduling conflicts, I went, oh, that really, fuck, that sucks. But Tatiana Maslany, who is so incredibly brilliant on Orphan Black, which if you have not seen Orphan Black, make a point to watch it. It's an incredible show. She plays like 50 different fucking characters and she nails them all. It's absurd. But then when you see her in the role, she just fucking gets it. Like it's very much like when you see Iman Vellani for the first time, you're like, oh, that's Kamala Khan. It's like, okay, like the Marvel discourse is its own separate thing, but one thing that they've really constantly gotten has been nailing the casting for these characters, whether it's your Anthony Mackie, your Sebastian Stans, et cetera, and watching the show, because I actually rewatched it start to finish last night. It's so absurd in just the most wonderful ways. There's this shape, I think it's a shapeshifter who from New Asgard.
Yeah.
And they try to drop the whole Asgard's not a place, it's a people, and the judge goes, Thor inspirational speeches are not allowed in the court. And I was like, oh, show, you're good. And there are these moments like that where you feel the show making fun of Marvel, but it's in a very hilarious way. I do get what Ashley's saying because the finale just goes almost like oh god, like almost like Disney afternoon insanity with the fourth wall breaks and what it ends up doing. But that whole sequence that it's leading to, I thought was so goddamn funny. I was crying. I was like, wow, you guys are just going
that entire
absurdist
segment.
comedy.
Yeah, that entire segment, I was laughing nonstop. Just all the anticipation of that. Yes, you don't talk to Kevin. What Kevin says goes. And then we finally meet him, and it's an android with fucking Kevin Feige's signature ball cap.
Yeah, the visor looking like it, the cap he always wears was just mwah, chef's kiss. But then we get to so let's just talk about the discourse real quick.
Okay.
Daredevil's in here. Charlie Cox is back. Thank fucking God. That beautiful man.
He came in, won a case, beat some people up, slapped chiefs, and walked out like an absolute goddamn king.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, walk of shame. That's a walk of awesome he had. Like what?
That's the walk of a goddamn legend.
Yeah, seriously. Like what walk of shame? I saw people going like, I can't believe they made him do the walk of shame. Like he got fucked by She-Hulk. Like great for him. Like,
you guys realize that in the comics, Matt Murdock is a giant slut.
Yeah, and that's something that you need to actually read Daredevil because he is fucking anytime. You need
to read Daredevil besides the Frank Miller stuff.
Yeah, that's something that's very specific, I think, to like this series in particular, both the Daredevil and the She-Hulk stuff, where I think a lot of the people who are bouncing off it, and like if you legitimately have problems or didn't dig the show, then fine, whatever, it wasn't for you. But at the same time, I think a lot of the complaints about it kind of stem from people who aren't familiar with the format of the comics, which is not the same as every other superhero story. And really, like, it's the shit that they love about Daredevil. Not Daredevil, about Deadpool. You know, but it was like She-Hulk kind of got there first and was doing that sort of stuff first before Deadpool was.
Oh, there's no kinda. She was doing it before, and so those people who are going like she stole Deadpool's gimmick. Google's the thing.
No, she did,
like you get that, right? You can Google when these characters were like created and when they premiered in like their comics. Like She-Hulk got Deadpool beat by about 7 years, something like that. She was like mid 80s, I want to say. So,
yeah, give or take.
It wasn't until like Gail Simone started writing Deadpool that we started to get like that, you know, really kind of sardonic fourth wall breaking character.
So
before that, he was just like a crappy Rob Liefeld ninja.
True, but it's just like y'all. He's just fuck off, and and there are people who go like, "Oh, Daredevil's not funny." It's like you clearly haven't read Daredevil because Daredevil's actually like he's a snarky Catholic asshole. Way more.
I mean, he showed up. Yeah, in the comics, he shows up to a work Christmas party wearing devil horns and a sweater that says "I'm not Daredevil."
Yeah, like he's kind of a snarky bitch, and so when he's in the court against Jennifer, it's actually pretty awesome because he kind of schools her, and you're like, God damn, like okay, like he does actually on occasion flip open a law book, but she rightfully so is pissed off, and they actually have this really cool conversation about how as She-Hulk she can help people who've been like lost in the system, but as Jennifer Walters she can actually help people within the system, and it's actually a really cool like inspirational speech. And I read some people being really mad about the hallway fight that they definitely teased, and then She-Hulk just blasts through the ceiling. That shit made me laugh. I'm like, good.
To quote the next episode, remember whose show this is.
And that brings up my last big point. It's a She-Hulk show. It's not here to serve Wong or Daredevil. Like, Daredevil's getting his own show back. That's already been announced. That's happening. Like, we're gonna get more Wong. Like, come on, y'all. Like, if you don't want to watch the She-Hulk show, don't watch the She-Hulk show. Then it's not for you. But yeah, I thought the show kicked so much ass, and I laughed pretty much all the way through.
All right, Nick.
All right, so even I've kind of felt a little bit of the Marvel fatigue. I started noticing the formula way more than I have in the past, and even revisiting it, it's like, oh yeah, every one of these kind of hits this beat, this beat, this beat, this beat. So just watching the show and what we just got with Werewolf by Night, it's nice to see Marvel experimenting and going smaller scale, doing different things with the formula. The entire last episode is just one giant dunk on the Marvel formula. It's just, yeah, it's like this. So I fight another version of myself, the same ending that has been in like 9 of these movies, and then she just rewrites her own ending, which again, remember whose fucking show this is. But besides that, the meta commentary, it did work for me. I kind of liked that it waited until the last episode to get as insane as it does.
Agreed.
But the little asides here and there, they work for me. They didn't take away from the flow of the story, which I think is where a lot of meta stuff goes wrong. They literally stop and have you, hey, huh? Huh? Also, Jennifer Walters is advocating for X-Men, so she's cool.
Yeah, that was yeah,
Questions that we're all asking.
that fucking wink at the camera just.
So real quick, if you know, I think we can all speak on this. If you have enough female friends, you know how incredibly petty women can be to each other, and the whole She-Hulk branding dispute.
Oh, the Titania
the
arc
level
is so
of petty
insane.
on that shit. I was like, God damn, this would piss me off. And like, it's so great to see Jennifer like not care at first, but go like, why the fuck are you going out of your way to be an asshole about this? It's one of those like, and as that ramps up, I just found that truly inspired because it's petty as fuck what happens, and you're just
It was
like,
an interesting twist of the character because that's not who Titania is in the comics. She's
Sure.
not like this fashion mogul that is a thorn in She-Hulk's side. She's like literally just like, I think I'm stronger than She-Hulk and constantly gets in fights with her. You know, it's like that's like the sum of the relationship. And
She's basically the meat. Yeah, to explain to some of the fans, she's basically the Misha Tate to She-Hulk's Rhonda.
that's
yeah,
a
and
really apt comparison.
they took it to a different place in the show, and I think it absolutely worked here the way they handled it.
To wait for her to be drunk and then punch her, that's fucked up.
That's
like, damn, like,
that's a dick move.
it really was. But I will say the penultimate episode with the whole revenge porn aspect, that is such a gross thing, unfortunately. But the amount of people I read going like, "Oh, someone wouldn't do this." I'm like, have you visited the world recently? It's like nah, fam.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's like, have you not been on the internet?
I had
like
PTSD from that whole segment because what I saw was like that's fucking kiwi farms that they were putting into the show there. And as someone who has had a long-running thread on kiwi farms to be a target of harassment, it was like, oh shit, that's kind of intense. And I kind of loved that the show was like saying this is the villain. It's like, yeah, because it's been kind of a villain in my life too. So I feel that.
It's similar though, and I'm drawing this comparison intentionally. It's very similar in that to Miss Marvel, where you know the whole the whole stereotyping by the government overall is the big overarching villain as opposed to an actual physical person. And when you see how Jennifer reacts, rightfully so, by the way, and in the way that the DODC is like, oh, you can't do that, you hulked out, you got irrational. It's like that's exactly how people would spin that shit. They'd be like, look at this irrational woman being so angry.
And the thing that stings about that, they react like that even if she didn't have the Hulk powers.
Yep.
Take Hulk away, they would still have that exact same, oh, she's unstable, she's erratic, she's crazy.
Yeah. But it's, you know, it's why, you know, I've told people that this is why you kind of need to not be subtle on shit, because you know, like, you know, I've talked about on Falcon and Winter Soldier the very clear comparison of the super soldier serum to the Tuskegee experiments as far as it being used on people of color and people just going, where are the Tuskegee experiments? It's like, God fucking damn it. This is why we need to teach history in goddamn school. It's like,
even going back to something like Watchmen, that was the first time I ever heard about the fucking Tulsa Massacre.
Yeah.
Thanks, American education system.
Right. But it's like these things are very important moments in history, and like things that unfortunately we continue to repeat over and over again. So when you see Jennifer's reaction for having consensual sex, because that's exactly what she was doing, which, they use it kind of as a joke to help her win the She-Hulk name, but at the same time it highlights the fact that, yeah, like all these people were willing participants in the in what happened, and yet the way that she's still slut shamed, you just go, yeah, like there are gonna be people who completely put that aside for the enjoyment of the show, but the show's making those points very intentionally. And if you're not catching up on them, I don't really know what to tell you at this point, because they really can't lay it out any clearer than they were in the show.
Yeah. Which was an interesting moment in the show. I would say for me, I think some of the issues I had, looking at the trailer, a lot of the big discussion when this first trailer came out was how bad the VFX looked. I will say that it really doesn't look that much better when you actually watch the show. I think there were a lot of moments where they did look downright terrible. I think there was the episode with Megan Thee Stallion where she's like even walking into the office, and that looked particularly really bad. That was, I think,
shots.
Hey, they made sure to allocate that budget. Them cheeks clapping. They made sure.
So I thought some of that stuff was, really bad with some of the VFX stuff. I thought that, kind of seeing her, in her kind of daily life, I said, doing the dating stuff, I thought was good. I thought, showing her like, on the different Tinder dates was good. And then showing how she has this complex about, She-Hulk being very popular and her just being regular Jen. I like that dynamic. And I like that episode. Another episode I really enjoyed was the group therapy episode where you had Emil Blonsky, where you had Tim Roth character, and you had all those other, villains kind of sitting around in that session and really chatting. I thought that was a pretty good episode as well. Like Jamila Jamil, who comes in as Titania, I felt like you needed a little bit more of an episode with maybe just her and focusing just on her relationship with Jen and why she necessarily has a major issue with Jen, and why she is so obsessed the way she is with her. I think maybe you did need maybe one more episode to kind of focus on that relationship, because she kind of just appears out of nowhere in the first episode, which I thought was kind of done in a clunky way and shot very awkwardly. And then with kind of, I think the other kind of big villain of the show, where it turns out the major villain of the show is 4chan, and you kind of see that, Todd and the rest of the guys and the people that she kind of went on some of these dates with, they kind of manipulated the way she did. I do like that it strayed away from the traditional punch your way out of things ending. That it was kind of more focused on her, winning a legal battle. But the show's not very good at, like the writer said, we don't really know how to do legal court cases or anything like that. So we don't know how to really do that all that much. So I thought that was particularly weak on that side with the kind of the legal aspect of it, especially like in her case with Daredevil, because Hunter brought up, how, in the comics you do kind of see like them really sparring with each other, going, because he's a defender and she's a prosecutor. In that episode with Daredevil, I thought one of the first questions that maybe you would ask as a lawyer if you're taking on this client whose the whole case was about him getting this suit that malfunctioned, it's because he was stupid and he put jet fuel in it. That seems like one of the first questions you would ask is like, okay, well, what were all the stipulations of the suit and what you could and couldn't do, and what were all the kind of precautions that were there? And then,
they also emphasize that guy's an idiot.
Yeah, people barely follow instructions on cooking their food. That was something that didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, that guy was he was an idiot, but it seems like she would have asked that question before going into, to the trial of that. So I thought that was a little kind of a misstep there. But when the
guy with the name of Leapfrog, so there's only so far we're gonna
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Love those tablets.
But I did love when Daredevil.
Ribbit.
I did love when Daredevil came on, not because it's just, hey, Daredevil, he's back, Charlie Cox, but I think him and Jen had great chemistry together. I think they worked really well together. I thought that was kind of great to see. Somebody made a funny joke. Somebody said at the end of the final episode, it kind of looked like a Fast and Furious movie where they're all sitting around, like, sharing food. All,
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
Exactly what they were going for. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Even kind of Daredevil had like a kind of like a regular like plaid shirt that you wear at a cookout or something like that, like dad, striped shirt on.
So good.
So yeah, I thought that worked really well. I think overall, I mean, there were some good moments. You know what I mean. I just think the show's for me is okay. You know what I mean. If I had to like maybe give it like a out of a 10, give it like a 6, or somewhere around that, or 5 or a 6. But I'm gonna pass it around again. Hunter, what's some of the issues you had with the show, if you had?
I mean, there are a couple, like, I just kind of accepted the fact, I I love Fast and Furious 9, but that shot when Dom jumps off of that like truck thing, I was like, holy fuck, that looks bad. It's just the nature of the beast at this point. I've just kind of accepted that there'll always be a effect minimum I'll see in one of these blockbusters that I'll go, it's a little rough. Like, love Black Panther, but those rhinos, it's like, oof, like. Oh, am I watching Ace Ventura 2? Okay, it's just it's just a nature of the beast at this point. I think about 85% of the shots, I would say, for me, look good, especially when they're zoomed up on her face. It did look better to me than that initial trailer, because that first trailer I remember kind of going, like this might,
even I was
like this might be rough to get through. But honestly, like the more the show went on, the more I found the effects to like they found a good way to like find strike a balance between all of that. I could have used, like, it's her show, and I fully acknowledge that, obviously. But man, when Wong popped up, I was so happy to see him. I'm like, Wong is the shit in this, and the fact that his big case is about having the Sopranos spoiled for him was something I was so happy about. I went, wow, this is the whole crux. Like, the mystic art shit's like secondary to the fact he spoiled Sopranos for you. I kind of love that, and they do a really good job of setting up. So, oh yeah, victory lap time, because I told you, motherfuckers, that Hulk's son was coming. Like, episode 1, I was like, okay, you're clearly setting up this thing. And so they have some very interesting avenues they could go down, like World War Hulk seems, or at least some sort of adaptation of it seems very, like, way more likely now than it did, even when the show first started. I feel like her popping up in Daredevil it's actually kind of a no-brainer, but she could actually even show up in the next Captain America movie, because I actually want to see her and Anthony Mackie interact. So that's what I'm hoping for. Give me some She-Hulk and Captain America. Let's go. But as far as complaints, I didn't really have anything that jumped out at me too aggressively. I think you could just start making these episodes overall like minimum 40 minutes. I know this is 9 episodes, so you can kind of play with the runtime a little more, but I almost think that 45-minute mark for most of these would just be a nice floor to hit, especially for the sixth episode shows. But I love how vulnerable Jennifer gets as the show goes on. Like, her parents are so cool. They're just proud of her. They just want her to be happy. And it's like, it's so cool to actually see parents just be cool and not have there be some sort of, like, childhood trauma or anything like that. It's just like, they're just cool parents, and they're just proud of her. But then you get the social commentary aspect as well. She gets this whole best female lawyer award, and the way that's spun, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, it's one of those moments where you go, oh, but it's something that would happen too. But so, if you're uncomfortable with those things, then again, the show is not for you. But I was laughing through most of it. I'm blanking on his name, but the guy who designs her suits, He's fucking
Luke
wonderful.
Luke Jacobson.
Yeah,
he's basically the MCU's Edna Mode.
Yeah, he's the Black Adam mode, and he's like, but he's fucking wonderful, and he cares about his shit, but is annoyed with Jennifer in the way that it's like, oh, she's gonna be an Avenger. He's like, are you gonna be an Avenger? He's like, well, he's just like, God damn it, fine. Like, it's really fun the way that interaction is done too, but the way they introduce other characters, like seeing oh my god, what's his name? Fuck. Seeing Ruffalo come in for a little bit was so cool, and him and Jennifer have great chemistry. They feel like they're related in the way that they squabble and all that. It's just such a fun show, and it's a nice new thing from from your Falcon and Winter Soldiers, your Lokis. Like it's a different type of show, even though it is a Marvel show. So if you don't like the swings they're taking, they are getting more diverse or trying new shit. Don't really know what to tell you. Just don't watch the shit then, because I feel like this is.
It's like
they don't all have.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can fuck off then.
Yeah, I mean.
Do you want to give your?
I had so much of this. Yeah.
Do you want to give your final rating for it?
Yeah, I'll go. Oh my god! All right, it's been a long day. What's the highest rating again?
This is cinema.
Top two. This is cinema, and what's under that? Tune in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. This is cinema. Tune in.
Okay.
Stream it. Tune out. Skip it. Burn it. Waste of film.
Okay, this is like a. This is like a really high tune in for me. Like just for the amount I laughed, like I have to give it at least a tune in. But because of the multiple things that we talked about, the revenge porn, the fact that Jennifer drops the line of, "Oh my god, I can actually walk home by myself without being afraid," and that's something that is not talked about nearly fucking enough. It's like,
that entire sequence with the wrecking crew, I was laughing because even her first reaction was like, "Oh wait."
yeah, but it's But when you take that half step back, you realize, oh wow, like normally she should be afraid, which is tragic in itself. But the show does call out these real world things that, again, you can't address a problem and fix it until you acknowledge there is one. So I love the show for that. It won't be for everyone, and for the people it's not for, you probably need to look inward and figure out what makes you uncomfortable about the show. But yeah, this is a high tune in for me.
All right, Ashley.
In terms of complaints, honestly, my only real complaint is that the episodes were too short. I got to the end of every episode and said, but I want more. There needs to be like an extra 10, 15 minutes in every episode, quite honestly. That's really my only complaint. I think in terms of the VFX, because there's been a lot said about the VFX of this show, and quite honestly, I think people need to chill a bit when talking about VFX and stuff, because we are living in the land of milk and honey when it comes to visual effects in movies and TV shows. And this is a TV show that for large segments of time has an entirely 100% animated character existing in the real world, and there's an incredible amount of scrutiny that is gets sort of placed on that, and there's limitations because it is a TV show about what could be accomplished in what amount of time. And honestly, I think it looks pretty good, and I can use my imagination to get the rest of the way. Are there some shots that don't look so great? Sure. But honestly, I don't care, because we got a She-Hulk show where I'm seeing She-Hulk on screen. And it's like, it's a sort of thing that if you told me when I was a kid that this would exist and I could watch it, I would tell you that you were a liar and there's no way that this could be accomplished. And now we're living in an age where everything can be accomplished. But of course, there's like, you could only do so much, because everything now has 800 VFX shots in it, as opposed to when it was the 90s and you'd maybe have a big VFX movie that had 30 VFX shots in it. and those are few and far between. So I don't really consider it that big of a deal. And just as technology goes, this stuff is going to get better and better. And honestly, for what it was, I think it was actually really good. So I don't see too much of value in picking on the VFX of shows like this. In terms of where I would rate this thing, probably the same as Hunter, high two in, I guess. I think that's pretty high. Sorry, I'm not familiar enough with the grading scale. But I really enjoyed it, and I understand why anyone might have bounced off this because again, I'm coming this from this with the position of someone who is very familiar with the character, very familiar with the comics, and was very happy that I got exactly that. I was surprised that the show went as far and as hard as it did, and
Yeah.
I could not be happier that this thing exists. And if it didn't work for you, stick around. There'll be like Secret Invasion, Loki coming out soon, and maybe that's more your speed. And it's Marvel's an institution at this point. It we're getting like 3 movies a year and 4 TV series a year, and it's like they don't all have to work for you. And I'm actually more excited at the idea, like from what Hunter was saying, that they're taking big swings with these shows, or at least moderate swings. They're not just like sticking to a single formula for every show and every movie now. And some people don't like that because it feels like, oh, you're wading off into territory that it doesn't feel so great to me. It's like, well, I'd rather you take the big swing and fail than continually just like try to hit it down the middle,
Yeah.
and to walk to the next base. So that's where I come at. And I think this one was a larger swing than most of the Marvel stuff. And the fact that I loved it is just icing on the cake. But if it didn't work for you, tune into the next one. That's how I feel about this stuff now.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, so but with Marvel, a common critique I've had about pretty much most, if not all, of the Disney Plus shows and Falcon and the Winter Soldier is that a lot of them don't feel like they were structured as television. They felt like they were the 2.5 hour film was stretched out over the course of 6 episodes. And I saw that problem in Moon Knight as much as I like that show, even in something like Hawkeye, which could have definitely just been a 2 hour film. But with both Ms. Marvel and this show, I thought that, at least for She-Hulk, this is definitely the biggest creative swing, and it feels structured like television. Every episode has a solid beginning, middle, and end to the 30-minute arc, even though most of them could have used like an extra 10 or 15 minutes, but it felt like I was getting something new every week with the show. And as far as like creative swing, to your point, Ashley, yeah, I have way more respect for something that is ambitious and taking a giant swing and falling flat on its face than I do for Morbius, or I mean the stuff that is just middling for the road, aiming for the middle. But the fact that this show works as well as it does, it is as funny as it is touching on the social commentary about trolls in general, and a lot about how Marvel makes a lot of their films and their TV shows nowadays. Even just getting to my thoughts on the VFX, it never bothered me. It's like, yes, some shots look definitely wonkier than others, but just I think Tatiana Maslany's performance as Jen Walters made me not care about it because she's still fully able to emote, even if the effects looked a little shoddy, which I didn't bother me one bit. Also, get fucked, incel. This is Tune In.
Tune in. All right. Let's see here. Like I said, I thought there was some good moments in here. I don't think it's, some people are going all the way, it's 1 and all the way to 10. I think there's somewhere in the middle ground there. Something can just be okay. Which I think this is, and I know with a lot of these Marvel properties, people are always quick to compare it to the other Disney Plus things and other Marvel stuff. And everything like that. I just think, it's a solid show. Nothing particularly spectacular for me. Nothing particularly terrible. It's not all the way to me garbage or terrible. I do like the fact they did the 30 minutes, and each episode had its own like little unique case. I thought that was good, like having Wong and him doing his stuff with his case, and then the stuff with like the bogus magician, and he had his own dilemma to deal with, and she had to kind of represent him and deal with that, and represent Wong and going against him. So I thought I liked that stuff. Like these unique kind of superhero cases, in this kind of Marvel universe of people. I thought that was kind of a fun concept. And I think, like Nick was pointing out, like each episode, feels like that. It feels like more of an episode of television instead of what they've been trying to do, which is like with these different Marvel shows, is that it feels like trying to feel like a, 10-hour movie or, trying to do that instead of just doing episodes of TV. And some people have complained about like the fact that it has no overarching plot. Sometimes, comedies don't really have an overarching plot. Sometimes it's just,
Yeah, and most sitcoms don't.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a strictly entirely serialized piece of television. It's more closer to like The Office or Ally McBeal than it is any of the other Marvel shows.
Yeah, so that's kind of what the tone is kind of going for. When it comes to some of the other kind of supporting characters, like you had her best friend, Nikki Ramos. I think some of the stuff, it was a little, sassy best friend, you know what I mean? Even though I didn't think she was terrible, I think it was like that was a little bit of that. Then even in the case of like Luke Jacobson, who's the designer, it was a little like kind of stereotypical gay guy, you know what I mean? Sassy kind of, rude kind of gay guy type stuff. Then when it came to like her other friend, Pug, I think was his name. I thought he was fine. I thought he was pretty good.
Played by Josh. Yeah, Josh Segarra plays him, who you all recognize Prometheus on Arrow.
Yeah. Which I thought he was all right. I thought he's the big, huge Marvel fanboy and everything like that. Then you had the one woman, I forget her name. She was the woman that's the face who never lost a case. The woman who's playing that lawyer. I thought she was pretty.
Yeah, she was fantastic, and that's the character of Mallory Book, who's played by Renee Lee Goldsberry.
Yeah, I thought she was fine. I thought I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of like professional rivalry a little bit between her and Jenna being, maybe these, two kind of top lawyers there. I thought some of the stuff they did was a little, I guess a little over exaggerated, like with her one lawyer friend, the real douchey guy. What was his name?
I know you're talking about
Dennis, who's played by Drew Matthews. It wouldn't be. I would say it's exaggerated. However, I've met people exactly like that.
Yeah,
and then I lose their number.
Yeah, no, he's a guy you would meet at a college party who would be talking to like.
Oh yeah, the 38-year-old guy at the college party.
Yeah, like pulling that last call shit. Like, oh, are you single? Are you single? And going up to like 12 different people. Yeah, no, he's that guy.
Yeah. So maybe some of the stuff like that, like, you know what I mean, and some of kind of that dialogue, what they kind of did with him, I think was just, it kind of, to me, strayed in a little bit of like what happened with like Wonder Woman 84, with kind of some of the stuff that kind of they did there. But I think, this series has got some really good moments in it, like the finale I think they did with it, showed the whole algorithm there was Kevin. It was like a, acronym, of there, not an actual human being, which I thought was nice.
Yeah. The MCU was created by HAL 9000, essentially.
Yeah, and the jokes that they made, some jokes kind of, didn't age too well because obviously they make a joke about the VFX and they play like the Black Panther music. What I mean?
Funny. That was funny.
That was.
I thought, well, since that stuff came out about the VFX artists and them kind of overworried.
Yeah, it could be seen in poor taste a little bit, but I laughed.
I laughed hard at that.
Yeah, and
also that entire monologue of Jen rewriting her ending. It's like, yeah, take all this out. I wouldn't mind seeing Daredevil again because a girl's got needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the fact the show's this horny is actually kind of beautiful. Like,
they have a fucking orgasm joke in the next to last episode. It's like, believe me, this episode came to a really natural conclusion. Believe me.
Yeah, that was great.
My favorite line from that last episode
Yeah.
was when she said, "We're Hulks. We smash stuff. Plot lines, continuity."
Yeah, bad endings.
All right.
It's the look she has when she drops that line. You're like, oh shit, okay, and
So good.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was
I
great.
love this show.
Yeah. And they even make a reference about how a lot of these things, because there's articles written about how sexless a lot of these superhero movies are, and they even make a reference to that about how a lot of people kind of comment on that. So I thought some of that stuff was pretty funny there. So yeah, for me, I would give it I'd give it a stream it. You can watch it there on Disney Plus and kind of check it out. Like Ashley was saying, that it's not going to probably be for everybody, and some people who say they watch this and go like, I'm done with the MCU, I'm never watching it. Like, shut up. You ain't done. You gonna watch the next thing. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just say that you're gonna be there for Blade. You're gonna be there for the new Avengers movie. Yeah. You're gonna be there for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Like, stop it. You know what I mean? Like, come.
Or will they though? Well, they know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm sure the same people who don't like Wakanda Forever will be the same people who didn't like She-Hulk. I'm sure there's no correlation, or
Oh, there's, dude. There's gonna be zero correlation. There's gonna be completely different groups.
There's just too many black people in Wakanda for me. Like, I just
no. I know. It's like, where are all the white people in Wakanda?
Yeah, right. Why is Wakanda so woke? Why is it Wakanda?
I do love that gag where the kid was like showing his Wakanda fetishism, and then he does like the Wakanda Forever sign, and just like, oh no, I'm very uncomfortable with you.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I know we talked about it earlier, but the walk of awesome that Daredevil does.
Sorry. The walk of a goddamn legend.
True. That walk, I love the fact he still has the courtesy to say good morning as he's still in the suit carrying his boots, and the woman just kind of like, wait, what? Like, yeah. And the fact that Jin's parents are already telling Matt, like, when you guys are gonna have kids, and Matt's just like, like, yeah, fucking great.
Yeah. So yeah, that was She-Hulk. So one streaming and mostly all tune-ins all around there for She-Hulk.